Hi, this is Minakshi Coach, and I am the Vice CEO of Ishkama Limited and Ishkama Global Magazine. We are going to speak on a very important subject today, and that is mental health. We are very fortunate to have Mrs. Abnaj K. Bains here, who is the CEO of Ishkama Limited and Kia Beauty BHI Homes, and she is also the founder of two magazines, M Change and Ishkama Global Magazine. This is not how she started, though. She had to go through a lot in her life. She had a head injury. She lost her dad to cancer. She also had to raise two children alone as a single parent, but she didn't give up. She fought her way. She found Ishkama. She helped others who were going through the same. And today we would want to know from Mrs. Bains about your experience, your past, what happened, how was the whole thing, and how did you get here?
I suppose, well, everything starts from childhood. And I mean, we were immigrants. My father was here and then he brought us over. And my childhood was raised in the UK. And but like most of us, we go through trauma. I mean, I think there's some things that some people have a very smooth life, but everybody now and then has some hitches in life. And I think I'm no different to anybody else. But I think it's the way we look at things. It's how we either you can say, like they say, you can view a bottle as half full of water or half empty. All right, it's the mindset. So I was always brought up to believe that there is nothing that you cannot get over. And I think I think this is more with your upbringing, the way your own character is as well. And I mean, I had various Hebrews, I left school at 16 when it was unheard of, especially young girls from good, like good little Indian girls, they leave school at 16. And so I suppose I went into work because I lost both my Nana ji, Nani ji, and my Dadi ji. So, having spent the first few years amongst them while my father was here, because he left India when I was 3, just under 3, and he came here. And then we were like between the two sets of grandparents. And so that was a shock to the system, but I was lucky, got into a job where it was hard. All right. And especially being the only woman dealing with salesmen. And even in this day and age, you have a group of salesmen, it's not easy. And I suppose in a way, sometimes it does help being a woman because you have to try harder. and I suppose also we as most women, and it's a known fact, a lot of people say the same, even men admit it, women can multitask, all right, a lot more than men can. Because just look at yourselves as well and other women, your mothers, your business women, you're doing so many different things. And I suppose the crunch came to me. I got married when it was actually a day before my 21st birthday. And it was arranged marriage. And I'm not ashamed to say this. It was a purely arranged marriage. Because but to be honest, my parents did ask me if I was happy to marry him. And I thought, well, especially as I had a lot of English friends who thought it was weird, but they said, at least you get introduced to somebody, at least you find someone to marry. So I thought, well, okay, fine. And it was my 21st birthday the next day after our marriage. And unfortunately, I lost my husband at the age of 26. And just after his 32nd birthday, there was a 6-year gap. But I was lucky enough to be in the civil service. And I still remember to this day, my boss who, all the women in our department used to think, oh, he's not very nice to women. He was a married man, but he expected results. All right. And I remember he sent a message, not directly through a colleague of mine saying, tell her, just take your time, come back when you're ready, And obviously you go through depression because you're thinking, why me? I have 2 young kids, why me? And I suppose that's when I went more into holistic You know, I always been a spiritual person. I remember even as a child, my mother sending me, my grandmother, my naniji sending me to the local Gurdwara with a diva, you know, to put that in the evening at the Gurdwara. And but you do it as a routine, so it's not, you know, you believe in God and so on. And you know, but she had a way of saying, because sometimes I used to say, you know, I get scared, and I don't know if it's widely known, but then my nanny used to say to me, don't be scared, because if the moon was out, she would say, you know, Mama Chandi, you know, is looking after you. So it was like, I never, that's why I suppose I go all over the place. I'm not scared, you know, I just will say he's protecting me. And so maybe that's where the, you know, the fearless comes. And I always, and whenever, I mean, I have wonderful parents, and people will sometimes think my mother was, you know, this is no disrespect to people who aren't educated, because I will tell you something, people who are not educated, they use their other senses more, and they have a wealth of knowledge that you can tap into, but people don't give them the credit. And my mother used to say all the time, if my parents had educated me, I could have been the, you know, the CEO of this. And, you know, and it was true, because she always encouraged us. She always used to say, no, you can't give up. And I think before we heard about women empowerment, that generation of women were already doing this. This new concept, women empowerment, we're helping women. But that generation and the generation like my nani, my dadi, they knew about women empowerment, and they knew how to get what they wanted, you know.
Yes, I'm sure. Yes.
And I think that's the case with women throughout the world. And my father, being very highly educated, a master and everything, he was more cautious. And what I have realized too is that if you're educated, you're sometimes, because you know the rules and regulations, you don't want to do anything wrong, because then you think you've got no excuse. And having worked with a wide range of women, and I'm still working with a wide range of women and men, and when I say to them, you can't do this, and they say, well, we just say we didn't know. We don't understand, no English, you know. And they take those risks, which are educated person, because they know that you're not really supposed to be doing that. So that helps us back. All right. So, but having a parents of two different tempers, two different viewpoints, but their marriage was successful. I never heard my father and mother fight with each other. My mother had a saying when I got married, and she used to say the same to my elder daughter when she got married. She said, don't worry, if he's angry, close your eyes, let him rat on. And when he's calm and he's at his, you know, like forgotten about it, then you bring it up. Then you make the point. And then she said he wouldn't say anything. And to be honest, I not only use that in my personal life, but I use that in my business life. Because, you know, there are people, I mean, that don't want you to succeed, but you let them go on and on and on. And then you walk away. And then you come back because you observed it and you have absorbed it, and you come back and then the guard is down, and then he says, you know, and maybe that's part of my success. I don't know, because I'm not doing it consciously. I'm doing it in a way unconsciously. And obviously the depression, I mean, was there. And I know my daughters were concerned, but my concern was more for my two young daughters. But then I think what held me was that a man who waited 3-4 years for a girl to agree to marry him, and you know, he had a heart, he had a good soul, and I think that's what I like. I get attracted to people who have a similar wavelength, and who care about humanity, who care about doing good for others. And I suppose I don't have time for who always feel, even in my businesses, or in my charity work, I like to promote people. People sometimes think I don't observe it, because it's like, you know, I tend to be like, I'm not looking at things, I'm not making notes, but I do observe it. I do absorb it, and then I do try to kind of up to make sure that they succeed, because there's another thing my father used to say, that being at the top is very lonely. All right. And I'm a loner by nature, like my late father, but I also like company. And I also, because for me, it's not winning something or getting something, it's more for getting my team, because I like, it's like, for me, it's a family. I created that when I was in any job I've been in, any charity work I've done, because I think it's nice to have fun. All right. And you learn a lot from each other. And I suppose that's, for me, it's enough. And I think when I was going through depression, I actually found out, I mean, the doctor gave me tablets, but they only made me sleepy. And I think, and one day it was a friend of mine, well, she became my best friend, she's like a sister. And I remember her telling me, I mean, nobody else, none of my other friends wanted to upset me. I think a true friendship is those that have the courage to tell you when you're doing wrong, regardless. And if the person that you're saying it, and if they value you, they will take a step back and think, yeah, she told me, she had the guts to tell me, it could have broken our
The
friendship.
truth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was my friend Devi, and she came. She wasn't even my friend at that time. She was, she worked. I was, kind of section manager, and she actually said, "Ah, but you would be ashamed of you the way you're behaving. Look at your kids." And I still remember, and I would do anything for her. And then my two sisters adopted me, kind of thing. So I'd do anything for those girls. They're like my they're in my heart, whether I see them every day or whether not. But they know if they need me, I'm there, and I know if I need them, they're there for me. And then there are other friends who stepped in, I think I'm very blessed. And I think you attract people, but you have to give as well as receive. That's it. And and then they said, and just when your career is going up, you think, oh, perfect, God is rewarding me for, oh my goodness. I think you get a bit ego there. You know so well. People think you're Miss Wonderful, Superwoman. And then I just pray morning and evening, last thing at night, first thing in the morning, or even if I don't get a chance to have a proper, whether I'm driving or whether I'm sitting, I always say to God, protect my friends, protect my family. Now I have the grandchildren too as well. And they are my life support. My friends and my family mean a lot to me. Protect them, safeguard them, give them all the happiness in the world. And I suppose God knows everything. So I think he knew us getting away from the core point. Because, when you become very popular, when you become very powerful, you get people who are your so-called friends, but they're not really there. And without you being aware, you're doing them favors. All right. Because you don't realize, because you say, oh, it's okay. I spend the money there. I do this. I get them tickets for bang, all of a sudden. And it was the day before I was going to be told I got this promotion. And I was laid up. I had a head injury. And that kind of showed it to me because a friend turned up. I'm laid up in bed. I could hardly walk. Not even, I can't even have a bath. I can't even cook something. My mom and my kids are looking after me. My dad is looking after. Poor guy is bringing a cup of tea because mom can't with her arthritis. My girls are helping my mom. And a friend turned up because there was a party on Boxing Day, a so-called, and said to me, can you buy 10 tickets? And I went, I can't even sit in bed. And it was, no, just buy the tickets. Don't worry. You can just come for a while. And I thought, crazy. And I thought, you want me to buy tickets so you can get a free ticket? And that was when it was like, and you cry because you don't want your loved one to see how you are. So you cry when they're asleep, and you're crying into the pillow, going, God, give me the strength to get up. Okay, if this is your way of teaching me a lesson, to concentrate on those who really care about me, I take it all board, but at least give me the courage and the strength to get out of this now. And I will take. But it's so easy to lose track of what's valuable to us. And at the end of the day, there is nothing more valuable, I think, than true friends, family, people who care about you. And I feel you should not be upset. And then we always have people in life who give you a backhanded, say, it's always a but. Oh yes, so wonderful. But,
Yeah.
you ignore them, detox it. All right. And if you can't ignore them, avoid them to some extent. And then just take it. And just when they say that, then reply back to them. Because otherwise it festers in your mind. And then you get depressed. You think, why did she say that to me? Or why did he say that to me? So you take it out. I would say if there are negative people, first try to cut them out of your life. Secondly, if you can't, then reply. I mean, I know most of us who get hurt like this are the ones that are soft at heart, and they don't want to hurt anybody. But think to yourself, if they're willing to be unhappy at your progress or unhappy for your success, then why should you feel hurting them? And that's after 60, well, nearly 63, 64 years of life, I finally learned that lesson, that don't keep quiet. And I know some of my so-called friends, when they come back and they think, oh, you're back on the high rise again, and they come back and they say, God, it's not like you to respond back. And you say, well, gray hair, long in the tooth, time to respond back.
We can, just by seeing you, just by looking at you, we can figure out that you are a happy person. You are successful, obviously, because you have that in you, the aura around you. So, so is it like you started, you're a positive person. Even otherwise, you're a very positive person. I would want to know, you took to counseling, you became a Reiki master, aromatherapy, hypnotherapy, everything, so that you can help others.
Yes.
Like mostly people, when they go through a phase, they would like to help themselves alone. When they get out of it, they like to be successful alone. But you didn't do that. You wanted to give back to the community and help them. So how did you get there?
I suppose when I was looking for answers for what was happening in my life, and but then I was trying everything, and in our Asian culture, I mean, I was brought up in a way a long way from that, because my mother in their thinking was quite modern in some ways, unless my mother wanted to get my father to do something. She said, that's not the way us Indians do it, because my father was an only child, so he spent most of his time in boarding school. He didn't know, he was in that sense very glorified, and so, but we didn't believe in oh, I don't know, you wear a different ring for this and do that, but not that we ignore that, because it was just my father's saying was, look, every power comes from the Almighty, so ask him for help. Why do you need to have a third person in the middle? Because he's not gonna, if he can help, then he would be sitting up there. He would be the millionaire. He would be there. So just go straight to God with a clear heart and ask for help, And I suppose when I was doing my counselings, I met like-minded people, and we formed a little kind of a community, and we were helping, giving free healings, giving free, we were told that when we were trained, and there is a purpose, and for whatever they say, I think the reason we can't give Reiki healing free is people do not appreciate if you give them something free. And this is why with Reiki, we always say that you have to give something back. You have to contribute, all right, financially or whatever. But you don't have to you can put a price on it. It doesn't have to be 40 pounds, it can be 5 pounds. But then I also did spiritual healing, which is similar, but there we say, we don't use simples, we grow from our energy from heavens above, and because there is a way of thought that we are all healers, and I think we are, all right, but it's how we connect to ourselves. Take a deep breath. I mean, if we have time, I do a little bit meditation, and hopefully the listeners will benefit from that. So I wanted to, because when I was in hospital, and I found, because when you have a head injury, other people don't understand what you're saying, because you're the same person, you know, I can speak. And even my own daughters used to say to me, Mum, you were raised here, so how come you don't can pronounce this? Look at this language. Because you had to learn to read and write again. But there is that shame still. You know, there is that kind of, especially in our Asian communities. And it was only going through that I realized why one of my childhood friends, because our father was involved in a car accident. In those days, we didn't know about head injuries. People used to say because there was less community, they started treating him and his family like he was catching. He was mental. All right. And I thought this beautiful girl, she was the most beautiful out of all of us, and so kind. And because people weren't even giving ristas in this, you know, all she ever wanted was to get married. Unlike a few of us who wanted, somebody wanted a career, like me, I don't know what I wanted. But her ambition, ever since I knew her, since she was 11, was I want to get married and have a family of my own. And because, you know, her father had this, people were like treating them more mentally, you know, she didn't get any respite, you know, and obviously it affected the whole family. So the family done. And when I had my, you know, I actually realized that there were other people who were reluctant to talk. So my friend Jamil, by then I was a single parent, and I was involved with other Manera Tabani, who was from the council, Shabnam, who was from the NHS, and myself from the DW, well, it's called the Employment Service then. We got involved with the Asian Women's Center because we knew there were women who would come in either because of divorce, of widowhood, or separation, you know, with different issues. So we started helping out there. And then my friend Jamil and I formed the single mothers group because I was a working mom. She's a working mom. She was divorced. I was widowed. And we found there were, you know, so, but then we extended it because it's not just widows, single moms, there's married women who have problems. So we said, no, it's, although it's called a, you know, Saheli group, but we brought other people in. Yeah. And it was good. We, you know, we did counselings, we did, you know, free healings and so on. So we, to get around that thing, I would use both the Reiki sometimes, but I wouldn't use the simples, but, you know, sometimes, and then hypnotherapy, because hypnotherapy is a quick method, all right, because you can change a person's mindset to a certain way. But one thing you got to remember, what you watch on TV, on these shows, all right, is it's a show. Your subconscious will not allow you, unless you've been given, you know, medication or drug, all right, to lower your resistance. Your higher self will not let you do something that is against your moral values and your higher being, you know. And the fine example, when we were training, we were shown is our, you know, the College of Hypnotherapy, they asked for some volunteers to come up. And the quickest way to find out how it is, the person went healing, did everything, pinched themselves, they didn't feel it, and so on. And then I remember the lecturer asked, would you take your wallet out? And now, what have you got there? Take a £10 and give it to me. And it was like, you wake up quickly because you're like, what? I don't want to give, you know. So you see, so you remember that. So when they do these stage things, it's already pre-planned. They already, the people who are. So that was the reason to give help to a wider audience. This is why when we started Ishkama as well, we worked with like-minded team. And we gave free, you know, workshops, and then, you know, even from there we developed the care beauty, because when I was doing some workshops for the refugees, because people had suffered, you know, and they were sort of saying, well, we don't have the money, you know, you guys look good. And I had friends who were in the beauty business. I was involved with when we set up the through the Department of Employment and Benefit Office, the you know, the Hello Group, which was aimed at getting ethnic people back into work, because the government thought, well, ethnic people, they don't speak English, they don't. So I had formed relationships with the local college to teach English there, but useful English, not A for apple, B for ball, you know, something like how do you approach the doctors, how do you apply for jobs. And as a result, I had built contacts because with the college. I knew they were starting this hair, they had hair and beauty college there, but they were asking for kind of models to try it so that the students could get hands-on experience. And I got friends with the head of the beauty. And so I asked her, would you give somebody to come with me to teach people how to, look good, do the hair. And we did that, and it was successful. And so it was just giving people confidence, because when people are refugees or people suffer trauma, the first thing that goes is their confidence. Because they're suffering. Sometimes they don't know how to explain to people. Sometimes they don't want to talk. All right. It's like when I was doing the Afghan refugees, there was a wonderful, some wonderful people. But what I was impressed with was that they had lost family members. They were lost, they barely escaped. They were doing well with their lives, but they had no anger against those people. And, and as a counselor, I wanted to know, but they were saying it's God's will, and I was very impressed with their humbleness. That in spite of that, they said, oh, we are grateful the UK has given us a place, and hopefully they can find, other members of family. And we are glad to have a roof over our head. And it makes you very humble about what you go through, because you think, hold on a minute, I'm talking about, I don't, because what happens is we are always aiming for the next step, which is good.
You are also the past district governor of Lions International, District 105A.
Yeah.
So you had the opportunity of choosing a lot of other like hunger. You have got several projects, sight, hunger, humanitarian, so many things. You chose place to be.
Yeah.
So that is again to do with improving mental health.
Yeah.
So you do put in a lot of wherever you go, whatever charity work you do, you put in a lot of effort when it comes to mental health.
Yeah.
So
I feel the reason I chose that charity, one, it was to do with youth, young children. And if you imagine a child is born, yeah, he or she comes into the world innocent, right? And they all deserve to have a happy, healthy life, to be loved. So if they go through a trauma, sometimes a child does not know how to express that trauma. The parents might be arguing. There might not be food. I mean, we hear so many stories. And I think the only thing that makes my blood boil is when somebody that is defenseless, whether it's a child, whether it's an elderly disabled or a disabled person who cannot fend for themselves. And that's the reason, because I read about so many charity, and one thing I did read about Place to Be was that they actually are very hands-on. And they kind of, and they do care, they do put in a lot of effort. And I wish if somebody is listening there, that they contribute either straight to Place to Be or through our ICG, because, and they can market this is for the Place to Be, because children worldwide, and I suppose my view is, I don't care where the children are, in which country they are, they need our help, because they are our future. If we do not look after our children, the next generation, and if they have been made to suffer, they had trauma, they haven't learned to cope with it, then how can they become good citizens?
Exactly.
So we have to start from there. And I think, and to be honest, I know they do a wonderful work. But then I think most places that deal with, whether it's people who go, even grown-ups, and now we find that the elderly, because of the lockdown, and not just the elderly, other age groups have suffered, all right, because they've been isolated. All of a sudden, some of them have got fear, because they live on their own or whatever. What if I die?
Yes.
I mean, a neighbor of mine, and I mean, I was shocked because we were neighbors, and it seems he was coming out of the bath, must have slipped, because of the water. and it seems he was lying there dead for, for a week or so. And that kind of shocked me in this day and age that, nobody else knocked on the door a day before, or whatever. And that's, if anybody is wherever you're listening, I would say, please, if you live on a road, try to say hello to your neighbors. And it makes you feel good, actually.
Exactly. Yes, yes.
And if you live in flats, when you get in the lift, just say hi to your neighbor, and it might make their day. The first day, you might be like, no. And then the next day, they might think, oh, my, they really do mean it, But be careful. Don't invite everybody to your house to them. That's another reason, right?
Okay, Mrs. Baines, we are coming towards the end of the show. I'd like to thank you for joining us. I thank Kismet TV for giving us this opportunity and for promoting something very important. Mental health is really important.